Welcome, parents, to week 3 of our Ready Home program. I hope you've enjoyed the past 2 weeks and all the activities that you are doing with your child. This week, we are going to work on letter recognition. Letter recognition is a key component in your child's success to become a good reader in school and a good writer. Letter recognition is a progression of knowing the letters, recognizing their shape, and then realizing that each letter has a sound that it makes. Children often begin this sequence by naming the letters. Your child may know their letters because they can sing the alphabet song. They know that each letter has a name to it. They may not know that A is actually the shape of the letter A, but they can recite the alphabet. That is the beginning step in letter recognition. The next step is that the child recognizes that each letter has a name and it has a shape. It has a specific shape tied to that letter. Then the child learns that each letter has a specific sound. And thirdly, when we put those letters and letter sounds together, they can represent a word. There are so many informal ways that your child learns letters. At home, children can have informal instructions with letters and letter sounds in some of their daily activities, playing with blocks that have alphabet on them, looking at books and being exposed to print. Those are ways that your children are introduced to letters, sounds, and the words that they create. This week, we are going to be working on activities that promote that learning and progress that learning so they can be better readers once they get to school. The first activity we have this week is called the word book. Each of you have one of these in your bag of supplies that were sent home. This is titled My Word Book. I want you to go ahead and get this book out and put your child's name right here, or they can write it themselves. This is going to be their word book. When your child enters school, often a classroom will have what they call a word wall. And it will have, in early learning, pre-K and kindergarten, they will have the alphabet word wall, where they will have each letter of the alphabet up on the wall, and under that letter, they will have objects or pictures of things that represent, or even words that represent that particular letter. So this is going to be your child's word wall in a book. You're going to see this word book 3 times this week in your activities, because we're going to be introducing 3 letters this week, the first 3 letters of the alphabet, A, B, and C. Today, we're going to talk about the first page, the letter A. You don't have to complete this first page, letter A, all today. You can work on it throughout the week, get it out again and work a little bit by little bit on it. And you can work on the next letter and work a little bit on A and go back and forth. But it's going to be 3 different times this week, so please don't feel rushed to get it done. We want to have a strong concept of that this letter's in this book, so you want to take your time. The stronger knowledge your child has of letter shapes and letter sounds, the better reader. I would rather have a child come to pre-K with a strong knowledge of 14 letters than a little bit of knowledge of all 26. So remember, take your time. It's not a rush. So the first letter this week, when you open it up, you will find the letter A. Now, what I've done is I've drawn a letter A, and this may be all you do the first day. Think of something that begins with the letter A and have your child draw it, or you can help them draw and they can color it in. And then you write the word beneath it, apple. I've also included some names that you might know, people whose name begins with the letter A. I printed off an alligator and wrote alligator. We have an ant as well. Don't feel that you have to have a printer in order to complete these activities. what I have found, if you go to grocery stores or to Walmart, Target, they have if you get advertisements in the mail, or that box of paper that I suggested for cutting, where you might have old newspapers, magazines, you can find objects that begin with these letters in this book. So don't feel you need to print anything off. You can draw them all, that's fine too. So you're going to go ahead and put objects on here that begin with that letter A. And then I also included the uppercase and lowercase a, and I put this in a different typography or a different font, because especially with technology the way it is, your child is going to see different fonts in type print, and that don't look like the A that you typically see. So they're going to be exposed to a variety of different typographies or fonts in their learning. So it's good to expose it at the very beginning, so they have an idea that not all lowercase a's look like this one. And again, I'm using that academic vocabulary, uppercase and lowercase. Typically, it's very common to teach your child the big A and the little a, but we want to use correct academic vocabulary so they get used to hearing those same words that they're going to be taught to, or they're going to hear at school. So when you're exposing your children to the letters this week and increasing their letter knowledge, talk about the uppercase A and the lowercase a. Some people talk about capital A, lowercase a. So whatever you feel comfortable with, and encourage your child to use those words too. Point to a lowercase a, point to an uppercase a. We're going to be doing a lot of letter shape recognition this week with our letters. So that's our letter A, and then you'll find in the rest of the week there'll be 3 other opportunities to do your letter B page and your letter C. Again, don't feel like you have to do this all in one sitting. You can do a little bit of the A today, and then the next day add something else to it, whatever your child's tolerance and attention to this activity. I encourage you to go ahead and follow that lead. We want, again, to have the activity be fun and engaging for your child. So my word book is the first activity this week. The next activity this week is called letter tracing. You will find our alphabet cards for tracing in your bag of supplies. And these are okay to keep together like this, or you can cut them apart, but I encourage you to make sure you put them in this protective pouch. So when we do our writing with our dry erase marker, we don't damage the cards. So this week you're going to be tracing the alphabet letters and learning the shape of the letter by actually forming them by writing. You will also notice here on the cards that they have some numbers 1, 2, 3. You'll start with the number 1 dot that tells you which line to make first. The number 2 dot down, and then number 3. It's going to teach you the correct formation of these letters, and it makes it easy for your child to learn how to write these letters correctly and learn good habits from the very beginning. So we're going to trace each of these letters. Again, don't feel rushed to do all of them today. Maybe just work on A, B, and C this week. Maybe work on the letters that are in their name. You can do that too. The letter that starts their name, or go ahead and find the letters they're in all of their name and work on those. If your child's ready and is not challenged by this activity, it's not too hard for them, you can go ahead and do as many letters as you like. But again, we encourage you to do correct formation and do it better than just do it quick. So we want to make sure that we are teaching the correct way to form these letters. So this is our letter formation activity. This can also be extended with the sandbox that we provided for you. You can set these cards next to that little box container of sand, and you can have your child practice writing the letters in the sand. So that's another way to extend this letter formation activity. The next activity is the letter sorting activity. You are going to need your magnetic letters, both uppercase and the lowercase letters. You might want to just start with this activity with the letters we're discussing this week, the uppercase A, B, and C, and the lowercase a, B, and C. But you can use as many letters as you want, whatever you feel your child is ready for. When we talk about the letter shapes, we talk about whether they have straight lines in the letter or they have curved lines, just curved lines, or they have straight and curved lines. So you're going to take these magnetic letters and you're going to look at them and you're going to talk about the shape of the letter. And you can have your child touch these letters and really examine how and learn that vocabulary. This is straight, and then this line right here is curved. So our uppercase B is made up of straight lines and curved lines. But let's look at our uppercase C. Do we see any straight lines on this letter? No, this letter is just curved. But if we look at our uppercase A, it's made up of all straight lines. You can even talk about this in that previous activity where they're actually writing the letters this week. As they're writing the letter, you can talk about how they're making some straight lines to make that uppercase A, or you're making some curved lines to make that uppercase B. So we're going to take these magnetic letters. You're going to get out your card here, and then you're going to put it on a flat surface, and you're going to go ahead and sort the letters and put it under either curves, lines, or lines and curves. Have your child talk about the letter, talk about what kind of lines it has, and then put it appropriately where it belongs. Again, looking at and comparing the uppercase and the lowercase might be kind of interesting because our uppercase A is made up just of straight lines. But when we look at our lowercase a, it's made up of straight lines and curved lines. So just because it's the same letter, it may not be made up of the same kind of lines. So this is fun. The kids love this. And I never, was taught this when I was growing up, that the different lines and curves concept, but they really gives them a visual of what that letter looks like in their mind when we start describing it in lines and curves. So this is a fun activity. You can have them sort the letters from their names as lines or curves and just really explore those shapes. So that is our activity, letter sorting. The next activity is called sticky letters. This one you're going to have to prepare a little bit, parents. You're going to find in your bag of items some sentence strips. And they're not long enough to have the entire alphabet on here. So you're going to have to get several out. And you want to make sure you have enough space in between each letter for this activity, because you're going to put sticky notes underneath each letter. So you need to have room for the sticky notes. If you want, you can tape these sentence strips together so it's one big long strip, because you're going to put these up on the wall, tape this to the wall with the letters on it. Now the picture in the resource book shows the letters mixed up, and you can do it that way too, but you might want to start off this way when your child is first learning the letters. You want to have them in order to help give them that predictability in their early learning. So we have our A, B, C, D, and E, and F on this particular strip. So what you'll do, you'll have your uppercase letters on the sentence strip, and then you're going to put your lowercase letters on the sticky note, and you're going to have your child match the lowercase letter to the proper or correct uppercase. So you'll say, what letter is this? That is a lowercase a. Can you match it to the uppercase A? And then they will stick it right below. So like I said, you have to have room because and you might give them the D next. You don't have to give it to them in order, but at the beginning you may want to. You may just say, we're going to start at the very beginning. Let's match uppercase A, lowercase. Now we're going to match the lowercase b to the uppercase. Maybe you start this simply at first, handing them to them in order. If your child's ready, just have the sticky notes on the table. They find them and match the letters that they know. It just depends where your child is ready to begin their learning. It's okay if this is where they need to start, but it's also fine to do it a little bit differently and challenge your child. Now, this might even be too difficult for our young early learners. If that's the case, go ahead and make some sticky notes that are uppercase and let your child match uppercase to uppercase. They may be there developmentally where they're just recognizing, okay, that's a formation of a letter. I don't even know its name, but I'm going to find the same formation. That's okay. We want them to start here learning the formation of a letter. We may not know what that letter is called, but we can match the formation. The next step would be to learn, oh, that formation, that letter, that's an A. Next step is it's an uppercase A. What does that lowercase a look like? And then you'll move to matching lowercase. So it's okay to take this one step back and start where your child is ready to learn. Again, we want to keep that challenge level comparable to our frustration level. We don't want this to be frustrating. We want your child to be successful. So this is our activity, sticky letters. Again, you may just do it in segments and start with these 6 letters, or if your child's ready, go ahead and create sentence strips to represent the entire alphabet, matching lowercase to uppercase. You might even try this. You might try mixing it up. You put the stickies on for them and have them out of order and see if they can't correct it for you. Say, can you find where these belong? I don't have them right, and see if they can identify the letter and fix it for you. So there's a lot of different varieties you can do with this activity. Again, it's where your child is right now, and that's where you want to start and progress from there. Sticky letters. The next activity is called Pin a Letter. You can use the same sentence strips you use to put up on the wall to do sticky letters, or you can create a whole nother set of sentence strips to play Pin the Letters. Pin the Letters is going to use letters on our sentence strips in uppercase, or you could extend that and make another set of sentence strips with lowercase on them and put the uppercase on the clothespins. So in your set of supplies, you have some clothespins. You are going to write lowercase letters on the ends of our clothespins. Now you might want to, I encourage you to take some of that tape that's available and wrap it around the ends of these clothespins to write your letter on the tape, because otherwise it tends to bleed if you take marker. Now, if you're using a ballpoint pen, it would be fine. But if you want to make them in color and use the markers, you want to go ahead and put a piece of tape around the edge of that clothespin so the letter does not bleed. Good activity for our fine motor. Kids love to do this, is pinching. And what they're going to do is they are going to do this at the table. You can do this in the car. You can take a Ziploc bag of these letters and this activity if you have a drive, and they can do this even in the car. It's a fun activity to take to the doctor's office, anytime where you're going to be waiting. If you're in the car rider line, this pin a letter is a fun activity to take with you. So they're going to take the letter and they're going to pin it right on there, matching the lowercase letter to the uppercase letter. Again, if your child's not ready to do the lowercase, make these with the uppercase. Make a set of uppercase and lowercase for them to pin. Then they'll find the next letter and look for the lowercase b and pin it right below it. And then you can pin all the other letters, put them in order. It's a fun activity. It's good for their fine motor and an easy one to take with you if you have to wait somewhere. So pin the letter, learning our letter shapes, that each letter has its own distinct shape. And then you might even extend this to do letter sounds. Can you find the lowercase b sound? Can you find the lowercase letter that makes a b sound and put it where it belongs? Wherever your child is ready to learn, to make this a challenge for them, but not too frustrating. Pin a letter. The repeat activity we have this week is just one, because you're going to be working so hard on that word book, and that's going to take you some time. And doing the other letter formation work is our color song. You can do it the same way as we did last week, where we review these color words and talk about them. We can talk about rhyming again this week. You can create new words in that higher level thinking. What other things are orange, yellow, green, and discuss those. We can also do some letter recognition. Get your dry erase, make sure this is in the sleeve to protect it. And the child can circle whole words. You can circle the color word. Can you find the word yellow and circle it? Now, they might just be recognizing the color yellow, but they're going to circle that whole word. Wow, I love how you found that word yellow and circled that word yellow. Yellow begins with what letter? Talk through the pictures and letters that you see in those color words. They can also find words in the rest of the poem or song and circle those. So they're learning about letter formation this week, but we can extend it to an actual song or poem and talk about how those letters make up words. And we can recognize individual letters in each of those words. So the color song is our repeat activity for this week. And if you want to wear those pipe cleaner glasses, you can do that too. Color song. The last thing I want to talk to you about this week is in regard to our social emotional component. This week, we're going to talk about sharing. Sharing can be a difficult one for children. Now, some kids are automatic sharers. Sharing comes easy for them. They'll share their food. They, readily give away a favorite toy to a friend or to a sibling and don't have any problem sharing. Other times it's difficult for children to give up something that they have that's theirs, or something that they're doing and they don't want to give that up to somebody else. So we want to give opportunities for your child to work on sharing. And how can you do that? Well, with the games that we've been playing, there's an opportunity for a lot of turn taking. And turn taking is kind of an extension of sharing, because they're having to share time. It's someone else's turn, so they have to share time. That means they have to give up their turn to share it with somebody else. So playing games is a good way to teach your child sharing of time and turn taking. And it's not easy for some kids, students or children to be able to do. So taking turns in a game is one opportunity to work on sharing. Another opportunity is if your child is engaged in an activity, you can join in with them. When say it's a coloring, they're coloring on a project or coloring in a coloring book, and you have crayons there and they're using a specific color. You can say, hey, can I have a turn? Will you share your red crayon with me? And that encourages and gives your child an opportunity to work on sharing in a natural setting. Turn taking and sharing plays a big part in the classroom, because 22 children and you have limited supplies, so there's a lot of sharing of glue at the table and sharing of toys in centers. So sharing and turn taking is a skill we want to encourage at home and provide opportunities for your child. If your child has a real difficult time with sharing, take for instance a specific toy and they don't want to give up that toy to share with somebody else, you might set some boundaries or parameters with that sharing time. For instance, if you set a timer, say, okay, I'm going to let you play with that truck for 3 more minutes, and then it's your sister's turn. Or I'm going to let you play with that toy for 5 more minutes, and then you're going to give it to someone else to play. So you may have to set a timer so the child learns that, okay, I can have it, but I must give it up at this point. That's a very structured way of teaching sharing and turn taking. It's a skill that is something that has to be learned. And if you have a child that's an only child, they may have a difficult time learning that skill because you don't have opportunities to learn it with other children and other peers. So you have to provide those opportunities at home. But there are kids that come from big families too that have difficult time sharing because they have possessions that are theirs that they don't want to give up. You know, when you have so many others in your family to share with, those things that are yours, you want to be yours, and you might not want to share easily or readily. So sharing and turn taking is the social emotional component that we are going to work on specifically at home this week. I hope you're enjoying the Ready program. I know I am. Again, I enjoy seeing your posts on Facebooks. I've enjoyed meeting all my students and parents. I hope this has been a great time for you to engage with your child. I love seeing the creativity. Parents, give yourself a pat on the back. You're doing a great, great job. We'll see you next week.